Hey guys, Josh here, and today I want to talk about combat. So they released two news posts yesterday, one about the evolution of combat improvements, and the other is an update on legacy mode, because we haven't really heard anything about legacy since like the initial poll. So I'll talk about the combat improvements, the evolution of combat improvements first. So I will leave a link to all these different posts I'm reading in the description, but the two of them are on the homepage. The patch notes is easy to find, it's on the forums. In terms of the improvements, so they kind of just listed like all the stuff they've improved, so stuff like specs, 138 combat, monster aggression, some balancing and PvP changes. So that's kind of just an overview of what they've done. But in terms of the actual patch notes, because they did release an update on the 11th, so the Crucible, they've now changed this quite a bit, because I mean, let's be honest, the Crucible was completely dead. There was no one there, and so they've now changed it back to, well, not back to, but kind of made it into Bounty Hunter now. So the Crucible, like the idea behind it was to replace Bounty Hunter, and it kind of failed at that, so they've now just gone back and made it into the old Bounty Hunter basically. So there's no fee to enter, you can attack any player. There's stuff like penalties if you attack someone you're not assigned to, and they've added like new special attacks and new interfaces, just stuff like that to make it a bit more playable, really. Hopefully entice some people there once they've done all the PvP changes. They've also added a new deathmatch mode, which is 30 player battles and it's safe PvP. So that could be quite good for maybe like clans, stuff like that, and just like have a bit of fun there. And they've added a new lobby, so you can sort of like join either Bounty Hunter or Deathmatch, so just a nice little update there. So that's Crucible. They've actually like made it probably worth playing now, which is quite nice. PvP armor, all the old, I'm not quite sure what to call it, but like sort of the Statius, Morrigan's, Vesta, that kind of thing. I forgot the name of like the group of it, but they were all like kind of pretty shocking in the EOC. They haven't been like updated at all really, so they've now changed them. I think stuff like Statius and Vesta are now level 80, and they have lower life point bonuses than next sets, but they now have a damage soak for PvP, so I think it's about like 5% per piece or something like that, so it's a nice damage soak there. I think it still degrades after an hour, so it's not like anything amazing. It will purely be for PvP, but it makes them like actually viable again, probably worth using, so that's always good. One of the biggest, well, I don't really know if it's the biggest, but it's definitely a really good update, is actually multi-way wilderness is back. So there's no longer toggling between single and multi, it's all like the multi zones and the single zones spread out throughout the wilderness. So I really like this. I'm not really sure why they removed it in the first place, but they made it so the warband tents are in multi, so there's nothing to worry about there. That's definitely really good. I'm glad they changed that back. It'd be nice if they brought back the sculling system, because at least that would actually get some skillers into the wildy again, I guess. Like, you're not risking everything, and it doesn't really affect PKing, because if you're going to PK you're going to skull anyway, so then you still go back to like, you just got to protect an item. So hopefully they bring sculling back as well. So the other things are just a whole load of ability changes, so you can read this if you want. Basically, like, abilities are all pretty like balanced now in terms of the beta, so all the three styles are pretty balanced, and they buffed defense a bit and changed stuns, so that's quite nice to see. It's all looking really good, the stuff they've done for abilities. There's probably a few changes they need to make, but overall, like, concentrated blast has been nerfed, so it's no longer like mage is OP with that. They're all like on like the same kind of damage now, which is good. And in terms of other changes, not too much. They've added a new siphon ability which leeches up to 10% adrenaline from a target if they have more than you, so that's pretty good for PKing. That's kind of like sap adrenaline or leech adrenaline in the Curses book, but obviously this is like a straight 10% rather than just overtime, so that's quite a nice ability to use. Defenders now have a 5% chance to parry melee attacks, and this reduces the damage by 50 to 100%, increasing the accuracy of your next attack by 20%. So I actually tried using defenders, and I didn't really notice them being too good, but they are changing them, so hopefully they will work slightly better. And they've said that if people like the change, they will they'll release higher versions of defenders as well, so we could get like a Barrows defender, chaotic defender, even like a Drygor defender, that kind of thing. So that would be nice to see as well. Kind of make it like you got more options in terms of melee, so you could have shield, dual wielding, or defender really. So that's quite nice as well. So that's pretty much all the evolution of combat stuff. Now onto legacy. So I am really excited for legacy. Oh well, I was excited for legacy. Now I still am, but not so much if you kind of look at everything they've said. So firstly, they've got some screenshots here which I'll put on screen, and the screenshots are looking really good. It's all like legacy's in the alpha phase of development at the moment, so it's not like anywhere near finished, but if you see the interface they put up, it looks pretty much how it was in 2011. I'm not a massive fan of all the blue they've got. I wish they'd change this back to brown, like I guess it was probably like 2010 or something was the brown interface. I don't know when they changed it to blue, but I'm not a massive fan of that. But other than that, it's all looking really good. All the icons are back there and everything. But they've also got this table down here, so this is kind of the main thing. It's legacy versus EOC pretty much. So they've listed firstly what pre-EOC was. Oh no, wait, I got that wrong. It's legacy versus EOC improved. But yeah, they firstly listed what pre-EOC combat was and what like the EOC has. So they got that table there, stuff like 100% protection versus 50%, melee bias combat triangle versus balanced, like old animations versus modern, so that kind of thing. Now in terms of the EOC improved versus legacy, it's not looking too promising, to be quite honest. So obviously legacy, you got the old interfaces, you got the F keys for the keybinds, which is quite nice. Chat always on, there's obviously no abilities, and you got the 138 formula. There are special attacks in both now. Hit splats, you'll have the old hit splats, and also the damage, they're going to scale HP down, so we might not have like 990 HP again. I'm not sure if they can make that work, but we won't be having like 10k HP. It should be like hopefully sort of like under 2k around there. That would be nice. Aggressive monsters across both systems. Equipment is going to be modern, which is kind of a shame. Like, I know they can't have legacy having a different set of equipment, but I'd wish that they'd change it across the whole system to get rid of the whole tiered equipment, because I'm not a massive fan of that. Like I do quite like weapons having different uses within their tiers. So obviously not getting rid of like Drygors, like dragons better than Drygors, but making it so like a dragon skin is the fastest, so it's good for training. Mace is good for like its spec. Declaw is good for its spec. I don't know, like Basilax is good if you don't use potions, stuff like that with its spec. So making each weapon have a use, that was like a really nice feature from pre-OC, so it'd be good if they changed that back as well. Legacy will have dual wielding, which again isn't ideal. Like the good thing about pre-OC is you had a shield, like shields actually had a use, plus you could have a defender for melee, so it's pretty much just going to be dual wielding all the way, it looks like, with this. 50% protection prayers, which is okay, I guess. Combat triangle balanced. Again, like, okay, yeah, while pre-EOC wasn't completely balanced, I did like how each style had its use kind of thing. So melee, because you had to be close to the opponent, you had more damage and defense. Mage, they had all the different effects, like all the barrages and the stuns and that kind of thing. And range was more about the bolt effects as well. So like all the ruby bolts and that kind of thing. So like maybe they could have just worked on that rather than just making all the styles the same. So hopefully they kind of look at the combat triangle again and see what they could do there. Models and animations, both modern. Like I prefer old animations, but that's okay, I guess. PvP XP, XP on both, and XP rates, not a main one, but obviously EOC will be the best, and then they've said that Legacy will be near optimal, which is going to be the same DPS as Revolution. So I mean, it's pretty comparable. That's not too bad at all, really. In terms of the Legacy DPS, it's fairly close. But that is pretty much like the whole combat update they've done so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.